Welcome, everybody. Thank you for those who are here. We're going to start right at 7. How's everybody doing tonight?
Great, thank you.
Good, good, good. We're going to ask everybody if you could mute your mics just to keep the feedback down. And Ellen, you can actually just hit mute all and mute everybody. When we get to questions, we will have an opportunity for everybody to unmute and ask questions. I know some of you put questions in.
Wait, Mr. Grant, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. Okay, great. All right, it is 7 o'clock by my watch, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for coming tonight. The idea here was just to give you an opportunity to take a deeper look at the pre-engineering program and to answer questions and to kind of tell you where we're trying to go with this program. And I really emphasize program because it is not just about the class that they take, it is several other things. So this is being recorded and we will make that available as well as the presentation that we will share tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and go right in. Um, the first thing we want to do is to kind of look back in order to move forward. That'll make a little more sense when you see the presentation that we have. Every year, at the end of the year, we will do a year in review. It allows us to look back over the last year and see what we accomplished in that year. And then we use that as a planning tool to move forward and look at what we want to accomplish this year. It also will give you a context of what the program is. You'll see evidence of what we did last year. So as we look forward to what we want to do this year, hopefully it will make more sense. So I'm going to have to get out of this presentation and switch over to our year in review. And nope, not there. Let me get up here. All right. So this is for last year, 23-24. And this QR code takes you to an earlier one. I'm going to send you a link to the newest one. But we start with our vision. And our vision really has two elements, exposure and equipping. And so the vision statement is exposing students to the vast world of engineering and equipping all students for success in college and career. And that's really what we're trying to do throughout all 4 years if students choose to stay in the program for 4 years. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. We have a very rich advisory board from K-12 to post-secondary to business and industry with a really deep engineering and built community. And those are our advisory board members. We also have some pictures of them as more than just advisory board members, but partners. You can see them in the classroom with Dr. Maxwell from Georgia Tech, Mr. Strong, a retired structural engineer, Mr. Dunbar, who is here tonight, one of our mentors, as well as others in action. Some more pictures. Last year, this is an executive from Toshiba that gave us a $5,000 grant. So this is the way our program is structured. There's really 5 components. There's the curriculum that most people think of, what we're going to do in class, and the facilities that we have. But then there's extracurricular and co-curricular learning experiences, as well as service learning, mentor exposure, and employability skills. And with all 5 of those, we are seeking to achieve our vision, which is to expose students to engineering and equip them for success when they leave us to go to college or to go to career. In terms of the curriculum, this is the layout of how it is. Students will start in foundations and they'll move to engineering concept. When they go to the 3rd year, it is both the engineering application, but it's the first year of the IB design technology. So they will receive the extra quality point bump that 3rd year, even if they don't go to the 4th year, and also the 4th year, which is a research capstone. Now, in the meantime, we are one of the few pathways that is in middle years program, career related, and DP program. And we actually is one of the HL courses required for IB, and it can count as one of their sciences and one of the, I think, 4 or 5 HL courses that they need. So one of the things that's a big part of the curriculum is project-based learning. This is just an early icebreaker where we gave them 1 sheet of cardstock, 12 inches of masking tape, and challenged them to see how many books they can stack. This was last year, they got 25 of these textbooks that are very heavy. We also did an engineering project with Must Ministry looking at homelessness in Cobb County schools. And the students were looking at ways that they could provide solutions to problems that the community faced. There was a study that showed that this year they were expecting 2,800 students, that's a Marietta High School, within Cobb County to be technically homeless. The other thing that was interesting that came out of this was helping them to understand the cost, what it costs to live. Basically, if you make minimum wage, you have to work 119 hours in Cobb County to afford a modest, I think, 2-bedroom apartment. So that just puts some of the things we're saying about college and career into perspective. They also worked in the IB group project. That was one of the things that we did. Now, the other thing is the extracurricular, those things outside of the classroom. So one of the big issues that we try to do is to develop leadership skills. This was our executive committee, and the way we're structured, we have an executive director, which Ellen is the vice director this year, and we have directors of different areas, and they become our expert on that and lead in that area. This was our TSA membership last year, and this year our records, the way our attendance has been going, it looks like it's going to be even bigger this year. So we partner with Science Atlanta, and one of the programs that they have is Chief Science Officers. These are students that are ambassadors of STEM in our community and in our school. So these are our CSOs at the Fall Cabinet and National Cash Registers headquarters last year, and then the Spring Cabinet in the at Cox. And so we are getting ready now for in October for that meeting again. One of the other things we do is we go to TSA every year. We compete in that. Every year we have been one of the top 10 chapters of 168 chapters 3 times in the last 6 years, and we're looking to be in the top 5 this year. We also compete in a competition called Green Power and Electrothon. And this is where students build from a kit or from scratch an electric vehicle. That's our vehicle down there. And they race that vehicle. So we're trying to give them both head and heart and hand knowledge that they're actually applying in some real world way. So we got about 12 kids interested in that, and Mr. Northcutt is the coach that's leading that effort. We also compete at about 40 different competitions at the state conference. And this is some pictures of students preparing. We usually stay at the game day, which gives us a lot of space and a conference room to work in. And it's a really neat time. And I'll show you towards the end all the different competitions from engineering design, biotech to fashion, extemporaneous speech. There's just a lot of those. This is us at the winner's circle. So those are some things outside of school. Another thing we started 2 years ago was STEM Explorers. We went to Japan 1 year. Well, last year we went to Germany and Switzerland. And then the year before we went to Tokyo. This is the group we took to Switzerland. The focus for that trip was sustainability. And so that was over our spring break. We went to Berlin. We had a chance to go to several things that were focused on sustainability, even urban farming, and looking at just sustainable ways to transport people. We actually got a chance to look at some of their markets. It was really interesting. This city here, the picture of the bikes in Freiburg. I think for every 1,000 bikes, there was 177 cars. This was actually not a car parking space, but a bike parking space. So really interesting. They got a chance to see the Black Forest and look at how many communities were locally producing their own power. Some more things. Here was the Rhines Fall as we were going into Switzerland. And this was us at the Alps. Actually got a chance to go inside a glacier and just understand the impact of global warming, because the guide that was there that said that they didn't expect the glacier or really the Alps with all the skiing to be there in 50 years with some of the things that they're seeing with the global warming. This was Lucerne in Switzerland, and this is us coming back home. So in addition to curriculum and extracurricular, there's an opportunity to students to learn and grow through service learning. So this is the partnership with chief science officers and the STEM professional school partnership. Mr. Dunbar, who is here, can share a little bit later, is one of those STEM professionals. We also partner with Dr. Emily Allen from Emory in human genetics. And so what we did is took some of the things we learned through the DNA extraction that was from Dr. Allen and the drones from Mr. Dunbar. And so we got a chance to go to Powers Ferry Elementary. These are our students that brought, she has a lot of animals, and that was really a big deal. Here are the students doing DNA extraction with the elementary students, and then with our hovercraft and our drones. So it was a way for us to actually learn by serving and giving back to others in the community. In addition to that, last year we hosted the Georgia Engineering and Technology Educators Association annual conference at Marietta High School. And so myself and the students actually hosted that event. We did everything from put the signs up to just help out. You can see students putting up signs, helping with the food, serving as a host, checking people in. But again, this was a way for our students to learn by serving and giving back to others. So that was a big deal. Last year, we started, well, we kind of resurrected. We had put this, if you can see, it was proposed in 2020, it was started in 2021. COVID came and kind of shut it down. But the Aerospace Explorers program, and so we finally were able to get that going with the help of Mr. Tony Dunbar. We built 2 drones and competed in TSA competition. We are also have some training software to help students gain their 107 Part B drone pilot's license. And so this year we're looking to expand that. So that was a big thing. The other one was mentors. We are really blessed to have a lot of mentors that come in and give their time. For instance, Mr. Dunbar comes in not just once, but some weeks, two times a week to help students. Mr. Northcutt is coaching. Mr. Powers helps with the structural competition, and many other parents will come in and help and mentor. And so we're really excited about that. This was our partnership with Science ATL. We had some pediatrics oncologists talk about their profession with the students. We were able to take a trip to Georgia Tech in December to see the senior capstone projects because our kids are engaged in similar projects. So it was an awesome opportunity to see what they did and to see that up close. So they got a chance to see how they presented, what this looks like at a college level, and that helped them in their effort. We also, for the last probably 7, 8, probably 10 years now, have been partnering with Lockheed with engineers in the classroom. And before that, they had a STEM program. And so we have speakers come in and talk to the kids about their profession. Last year, we even had the vice president, the top guy, Rod McLean, the general manager over at Lockheed, come in and talk to the students about opportunities at Lockheed Martin. And then the last thing is employability skills. We had several that took advantage of some summer opportunities, but let me go through and I'll show you that. One of the things we do, and I'm not sure if even all the parents know, Marietta has a very rich set of resources. And one of the things we do at the beginning of every year is to make the students aware. And so we tour 3 different places. We have the student life. Well, let's start with the college and college counseling. So we have 2 dedicated professionals that all their job is to help students navigate, how do I leave high school and go to college? And they focus on that. They start in the junior year and the senior year, but there are opportunities for things throughout the year. And then we have a work-based learning that helps us with our employability skills, but also help to plug us into summer work opportunities. That can be apprenticeship programs, internships, or just summer jobs, and helping us get ready for that. And then there's the Student Life Center. And this is just about not necessarily the academic, but just when life kind of has the best of you, there are counselors and clinicians and people that can help students figure those things out. And that's really important, especially after COVID, but just in general, it's really important. The other thing that we do is that we have this program called the Summer of Exploration. And the idea behind that is to expose students early in the year about summer opportunities. So the first thing we did was we brought in former students that took advantage of those kinds of opportunities. And it's just talked about from their perspective, how using your summers to do summer programs, how that prepares you to be competitive and to take advantage of those opportunities. So all of these were former engineering students or currently STEM students. And so they could speak in a voice that's different from mine and that the kids can hear and understand in a different way. This was them. Most of them were live. We even had one from Chicago and Northwestern that joined us via Zoom. Then we had STEM at GTRI, where I actually worked there in the summer in this program. Dr. Maxwell and Teresa Boston came and talked about the opportunities there. The Georgia Space Grant Consortium with Dr. Kelly Grinling, who puts that program on. There's another internship at Georgia Tech in the School of Aerospace Engineering, and there's them there. We also had an internship program through TED, which is the Technology Association of Georgia. They have a program with paid and unpaid internships. We also had MIT's MITES program and MOSTEC program come and talk about the opportunities that they have, both as a residential program and an online program. And we've had several students take advantage of that. The other one, and that's pictures of them. We also had the Next Gen program at Emory, and Dr. Emily Allen, who is our SPSP partner, runs that program. It is a summer internship in human genetics. So if you got a student that's more medically inclined, that would probably be better than the Georgia Tech one, even though last year at GTRI, well, summer before last, we actually worked on a project of looking at how to keep surgeons from accidentally leaving an implement in the body when they're closing up. So those opportunities exist there too. And then Carnegie Mellon talked about their summer opportunities, the SAMS program in particular, but they've got a slew of different programs that they talked about. And so we had them here. And then in addition to internships, is typically for those that are college bound, we talked about apprenticeship programs. And so we had Applied Technical Service and Luminate, which is a transportation engineering company, come and talk about their apprenticeship programs, as well as students that want to become electricians. They can even start that after 10th grade, as long as they're 16. And so that's them talking. We also visited Auburn University. That was really, really nice. And so then we talked about the impact. How is this program impacting kids? We spotlighted one student, Lucas Price, who actually started a business creating dentures. He has the ability to scan the mouth and then 3D print, and he is actually working for 3 different dentists doing that. He also has a drone business that he works with the football program here at Marietta High School. So he's pretty industrious. The other thing we looked at was, where are our kids going? So we had some kids who weren't pathway completers, but they were active in TSA and other things. And so you can see many of them are going into engineering or STEM related programs, even though they may not have finished the engineering pathway, but being in the other programs we have really impact them. This is the pathway completers. We had 20 students that completed the pathway. And of those 20, 65% went into engineering and 16 went into STEM. And as you can see, many of those programs that they went in are highly competitive programs: Georgia Tech, Emory-Riddle, Berkeley, Auburn, Clemson, KSU, just some really top opportunities. And then others chose to go other routes. We had 2 that did an apprenticeship program, and actually the 3 of those, the apprenticeship and the construction management, they completed both the engineering and the construction pathway. In addition to that, we got several grants last year to help with projects that we were doing. And so you can see those there. And then the goals we set was to establish a memorandum of understanding with GTRI that students in the pre-engineering program could actually engage in research opportunities for credit during the school year. We haven't taken advantage of that yet, but we had that set up last year. We also earned the International Technology Engineering Education Association STEM School of Excellence. That was for the whole school. And our program led in that. We're looking at not this year, but next year, doing a program of excellence. And then we established the SPSP program last year with 2 partners. We established the Aerospace Explorers and the Earl Labs update. We did not quite finish, but we hope to finish that tomorrow. All right, so that is that. And now I'm going to go back to see what questions does anybody have. I want to just stop at this point. Let's see, stop share and see what questions, if you want to unmute, and then I'll ask Ellen to read the questions if we don't have anybody who will speak up. So if you've got a question, just unmute and I will be more than happy to answer that. I know I've been talking for a while and want to stop and see what questions you might have.
Hi, do any of the courses count as Hope Rigor classes?
Yes, if you go to, let me see. So if you look at here, so the 3rd and the 4th class are IBHL, which is the highest level. It's a 2-year class. So both of these count as IB. So you get the extra quality point bump here, and it definitely counts as a rigorous class. It's one of the, I think, 5 HL classes you have to take if you're in the DP program. But in addition to that, because to me, at least what we're hearing from Georgia Tech, that's one component. Are you taking rigorous courses? The other is, what are your experiences? So we try to get kids in governor's honors, in internships. All of those things make them highly competitive when it's time to apply. And that's really what we're trying to do, step by step, every year, doing something that's building their portfolio. So when they get to the end, they are competitive. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I just was thinking about the Hope Scholarship program. These new rigor courses that they require had me a little bit confused, but that does answer my question. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes,
Yeah,
is Georgia Tech part of the dual enrollment? Are they a school
You
that would accept
actually
it?
can do dual enrollment with Georgia Tech. We typically think of that associated at the technical college level, but it is open for dual enrollment there. Now, what I would recommend that you do, that you get the best information, is contact Mr. Brantley or Miss Gorman through the college counseling, and they can really guide you in that process. That's really what they're there to do, to help you figure that out.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
so I have a student who is new to the Merida School District, but he's coming in as a junior. And I'm wondering what we can do at this stage, because a lot of what you're talking about is for students who have more time, how we can still build that portfolio for him coming in even as a junior.
So we kind of emphasize the summer programs, but like, for instance, I don't know if Isabella or Ellen can talk to the program they're going to at Georgia Tech, the Women in Engineering. Ellen, can you talk to that?
Yes, so October 2nd, I think it is. It's a Wednesday. There's the Women in Engineering Career Conference at Georgia Tech. And so basically it's if you're a girl and if you're a sophomore, in your sophomore or senior year, you can go to Georgia Tech for a day, and then you like get to hear from other different engineering disciplines. And there's also like a career fair as well, and then you spend a day and get to hear from them.
So there's a lot of smaller, more bite-sized things that students can do. The other thing that I think ties into that, some of you may have seen this from your kids, at least from your first year students. Um, if I meet with them every other Friday, if the schedule is a full 5-day week. So that's when we work on our employability skills, which some of that is academic, but that's our first standard. And so this year, students are challenged to create a goal, a STEM related goal they want to achieve that's outside of class by the end of the school year. So I'm really challenging them to think of something they can accomplish this year that will lead to a bigger goal. And that may be one of the goals. So we're asking them to come up with a SMART goal, something that's specific, that's measurable, that's attainable, that's realistic, and that's time bound, that they can develop a plan and then find a mentor to help them go through that. Once a month, we're going to kind of do a check-in with them to help them see where you at on your plan. And so that is another way that they can set a goal. For instance, I give students a copy of SolidWorks, and it's the full copy with all of the analysis tools. They can do finite element analysis. It comes with all of the toolboxes that they need. If you bought that, it would probably cost you 17 grand. If you bought it as a professional, they get it free. We also have a resource called LinkedIn Learning, which was formerly lynda.com, that is just hours and hours of courses that help them to develop skills. So even if they can't do some of the summer programs, they could set a goal to say, I want to learn how to use SolidWorks and become CSWA certified. And even they can do a lot of that out of school, but the second year students are currently taking the certification test, not this coming week, but probably the following week. And the first year students, we're going to try to give them that the end of the first year this year, and then they have an opportunity to take it again next year. So those kinds of things will allow them to take advantage of what they can and what will fit in their schedule.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions that we can answer? Okay, Ellen, can you read the other questions that people put online? And then I'll try to answer those, and then we'll have an opportunity at the end. If somebody else has questions, we can answer that too.
So the question was, what guidelines have the IB program given to prepare students for the SIN test?
Okay, I'm not sure what the SIN test is, but at the end, they will take an internal assessment, which is is going to be a project. And so they have several things for me regarding that. We all even brought in Jose, the IB coordinator, Jose Gonzalez, to come in and talk to the students about the external assessment, which is going to be 3 papers. They call them papers, but they're actually 3 different types of tests. They've had examples of those tests. They will also create a project that has 6 components. Right now, they're researching the problem. And last week, we brought in Dr. Eric Maxwell from Georgia Tech, who does the capstone course with seniors in the biomedical program there, and Dr. Ted Gross from KSU, who does, I think, in the School of Electrical Engineering, the capstone there. And we talked about how important it was to define the problem. Today, we had our librarian come in and talk about the research process, and we're encouraging them to use things like Chat GPT in the right way. We also talked about the technical journals, but this is a resource that that if they don't use, I feel they won't really be ready for all that's out there. And so we want to give them exposure, show them how to cite it, how to use it properly, so they will be familiar with that tool. So yes, they should understand what the requirements are as they get started. And we're the goal is we're going to do this a little bit at a time. So when they get to the end, if they have been writing each section, it won't be, it'll just be a matter of going back and correcting for this document that they're creating, as well as the prototype that they will have to build and test and do primary research on. That's the big thing. They got to actually build something that they can actually test. Did it solve the problem they set out to solve? So that was question. That answers that question. What's the next question, Ellen?
How and when to apply for internships?
Okay, so for internships, most of those internships are going to close in January, maybe early February. So we call it the Summer Conference of Exploration. But if you noticed, back when we did that, it was like January, right? Let me see. It was January, because the deadlines of those things come pretty early. And that's pretty true for most of the really high, the really competitive competitions. Governor's Honors is early. MIT, Carnegie Mellon, Georgia Tech, Emory, they all have a pretty early deadline. What other questions you have?
And then summer opportunities for 15 and 16-year-olds.
Yes. So one of the things that we look at is like, I'm actually in this cohort program at Georgia Tech that exposed me particularly what seismic has to offer. And so we do a lot of things that we remind kids about these opportunities. I don't think I have that PowerPoint up, but on a regular basis, we kind of have rolling opportunities that come through. Now, the problem is any of the internships that they get paid for, that they have to be 16. But there are other programs you can take that are like normally week-long courses that you can take, and you don't have to be 16. So we will make you aware of that, or the students aware of that. We'll also try to maybe look at how we can communicate that to the parents, because sometimes the students hear it, but it never gets home. Is that any other questions that anybody else has?
Yes. What type of organizations would you recommend for the students to network? I was looking into NSB Junior, but are there any other organizations?
Well, I mean, here at school, engineering related, we have Society for Pre-Engineering. That's kind of like our umbrella organization. Then under that, we have Technology Student Association. And these are programs we have. In addition to that, we have Chief Science Officers, Green Power, Electric Car, and the other one is the Drone Club, the Aerospace Explorers. And that group meets weekly. Tony, can you share a little bit about what you're doing? And then I'll come back and answer about those other organizations. Can you share what y'all are doing with the drones? Tony Dunbar is one of our mentors through the SPSP program and a retired IT professional.
Yes, so there's two parts of it. One is the aerospace exploration group and a drone club. So in the aerospace exploration, we learn more than just about drones. This was a new group this year. We're going to learn a lot about just vehicles in general, not just drones or airplanes, but just alternate vehicles that can be used for air travel. So one of our first experiments, we're going to construct a blimp, something that would be safe to hover over a football field during a game. And we're going to look at some other alternative vehicles. The Drone Club, we are exclusively focusing on drone construction, how to build a basic drone from scratch. And the students learn the components, how those components come together. In addition to drone skills, each of the students learns enough electronics to where they can assemble these parts on their own. So those skills, of course, are transferable. And it's just enough to get them motivated to seek out additional resources on their own.
Yeah. So that's what we offer here. I know NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, has a summer program. I can't recall the name of it, but they have that. SHIP, Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers, they have some different programs, and SWE, Society for Women Engineers. I've had students do Society for American Military Engineers, which will go to a military base and compete in that. So while we don't have those chapters here, we do make students aware of those opportunities. But our programs under Society for Pre-Engineering, we meet weekly. We started the very first week of school and we go all the way through August every week. And we have something on Wednesdays, which is TSA. And then on Thursdays, we have the Green Power, that's the electric car competition. And we also have the Drone Club, or the Aerospace Explorers, Chief Science Officers. And we are also we have a water jet cutter, a plasma cutter, 2 CNC routers, welding equipment. We have a very well-stocked lab. We have a professional from Marietta Non-Destructive Testing that's coming in and working with the kids to understand how to use that equipment as well. So those are some resources that we have. Any other questions? I saw one in the chat that said, what is the best type of experience for students to have when applying to internships? I would say building experiences. So for instance, if you do, like Ellen mentioned, going to Georgia Tech and having, doing that one-day program. Because what happens, like for instance, Women in Technology are going to have several things, and we're on their list to share with that. But I had a couple of years ago a student who went to several of those, and then what the students, I try to tell my kids this because a lot of times they will have events, and then the students that are really active that take advantage, there are other opportunities that they don't advertise. So they sent her to Brown for it was in the summer. It was maybe 4 weeks. They paid for everything. So there are opportunities like that that come when you take advantage of those building block things. The other thing that we do starting in the third year, and we're looking at moving that back to the second year, is all my students will have a LinkedIn page. And so as they do these events, as they get their CSWA or CSWP certification, they put that into LinkedIn and it builds that little portfolio. So when they come to the end, they've already built that. They've captured it. Also, what I encourage them to do is the presentation I just showed you. It is online, so they link that to their LinkedIn page. So then, as they take advantage of these smaller ones, when there comes time that they're 16 and they can do an internship, they now have many things to talk about that separates them from everybody else. What experience trips are you taking this school year? Well, I am glad you asked. Let me switch my well, I'll go ahead and tell you that because and I'll move on to the next one. This year we're looking at taking a trip in state. We haven't got it approved yet, so I can't officially tell you about it, but I'll tell you the gist of it. We're looking at going to a trip to Boston, New York, and Washington, D.C. that is also a college trip. So it'll be 7 days, 6 nights. We would go to Boston and see several things. We would also visit MIT and Olin College. And then we're going to go to New York, and then we were going to DC, and we would go, we're planning to go to Johns Hopkins and the University of Maryland College Park. That is going to be, looks like it'll be through Explorica, which is an educational travel group, and that trip is in the range of $2,500. Typically, our trips overseas are around the $5,000 mark. And next year, we're looking at either going to Iceland, and these would all be STEM related trips, Iceland, Thailand, or South Korea. And then eventually we will go back to Japan again because that was a really good trip. But that is, that kind of ties into the trips. Somebody asked about that in the chat. Are there any other questions that I can answer? Okay. Well, let me show you this. So we look back to talk about how we're going to move forward, and that gives you a context, but we always come back to our vision statement, which the idea is about exposing kids, because you can't achieve what you can't see. And so we want them to be able to see things and see themselves as doing this, but we also want to equip them with the experiences and the knowledge that they'll be successful. So for this goal, one of the things that we have is to be a top 5 TSA chapter. There's 168, at least the last couple of years, it's been 168 chapters in the state. And so we have been number 10, number 9, and I think number 8 or number 7, but now we want to be a top 5 school. Just to give you an idea of what TSA is, these are all of the competitions. I'll show you, this is the first page, everything from animatronics, which is these little robotic things that look real, architectural design, biotech, data science analytics, even children's story where they'll make a book with a STEM theme. Dragster was a CO2 dragster that the kids design and build using a CNC mill and paint it and race it. Engineering design, flight endurance. There's geospatial technology with GIS, manufacturing prototype, robotics, mass media, structural engineering, webmaster. There's just a slew of things for students to get involved with. And some are kind of more hard techie skills, but others like extemporaneous speech, is more about the soft skills. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing at TSA. So that's one of our goals. Another goal is to expand the aerospace. Tony and his team built 2 drones. We want to do at least another drone or 2 this year. We want to also do some Saturday expositions where we may visit Lockheed or go to the Delta Museum or go to Hartsfield Jackson, where they actually get to see the behind the scenes of aerospace. And we also want to do a summer camp for younger kids, and that our students would help put on, but that's something we're working on for this coming summer. And Tony would be the lead instructor on that. We want to complete the Earls Lab. The Earls Lab is a neat project. A couple years ago, Google gave us 6 40-foot high cube shipping containers. And so we are actually refurbishing them into a lab that would be off grid. We would use solar for the lighting. We'll capture our rainwater. We're looking at doing aquaponics in there. And so it would be about a 3,500 square foot building when we're finished, from shipping containers. One part we're looking at as a model space for doing tiny homes for transitional housing for homeless. And if you think about what Atlanta is doing, they're actually doing that now. That's been something we've been working on for a while, and students will be working on different projects as it relates to that in conjunction with our architecture program. The other thing is to increase the number of students in STEM competitions at the state and national level. We've had international winners at Science and Engineering Fair at ISEF. We have done the Conrad Challenge with NASA. We have done the Georgia Tech Inventure and won at the state level for that. We also, at the other school, we did a MIT Invent Team, and we're looking at doing that opportunity. But we're also just trying to get the kids to involve in a lot of different ones. It can be on their own even. We want to expand the Summer of Exploration series to get more internships and more apprenticeships offered to students. I'm meeting next week with Alman, a German company that is looking at that. The other one, Geotech, is a civil firm that's doing stuff with, they're doing a lot of stuff with the waterways, like at the ports. But there are opportunities we're looking at to see how we can get more opportunities for kids. Because, like, to give you an idea, at Georgia Tech, in the summer, I think last year we had 800 applicants. Now there were more people submitted, but those were ones that turned in everything that was a legit application. And that was for like 86 positions. So we're trying to get more opportunities. So if you don't get in one, you'll get in the other, and you apply at different things. We want to get at least $10,000 of funding through grants. I'm applying for one now, a $5,000 grant at Georgia DOE for outdoor learning space. And we're looking at doing some aquaponic learning space for urban gardening and to look at some solutions to the heat island effect in urban settings. We're also looking at continuing and growing the drone and electrothon, and then also trips, the STEM trips this year stateside and next year overseas. All right, any other questions before we about ready to wrap up? I want to make sure the whole idea here was to give you a chance to hear what we're doing and to answer any questions. So I'll pause here and see if there are any questions. Okay. Well, the last thing is this. We use these little pictures to say, the one on the left, for us, represents exposure. The whole idea is how can we help to lift students up to expose? And I like this quote by Newton that says, if I have seen further than others, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. And that's really what we're trying to do, is trying to look at how we can use people like Tony and Mr. Northcutt and Dr. Allen and others who have seen things and exposed students by giving them a lift, and allowing them to see, not just see things, but see themselves. And then the other one is this idea of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. When you think about applying just life in general, sometimes it can be overwhelming and it can be very big. But if we can take it and break it into some bite-sized pieces and give them things to do throughout each year, and that's why we talk about this as a program, not just a class. By doing something a little bit each year, it allows us that when you get to the end, you've eaten the elephant a little bit at a time. And so with that, one of the things we have as an ask is, will you can you find time to partner with us? Some things we want to do is to kind of, if you can serve on our advisory board, we would love to have you there. We'd love to kind of start a booster club, because we want to do a lot with the kids. And so maybe you could mentor, maybe some of the conferences that the competitions we show for TSA, you could say, I could give an hour. That shouldn't be twice a week. That should be twice a month. Twice a month. So that's every other week, not twice a week, for 3 months, because we do 2 cycles for TSA. So September, October, November, and then December, January, February. And so if you could do that, if you have expertise in programming and designing and electronics and fabrication and just communicating, because a lot of these competitions will have oral and written components. Maybe you can help chaperone a field trip or any other thing. One of the things that the kids need more than anything else, and with all the different things we got going, I'm not always able to do this. My wife, who was a middle school teacher at Marietta Middle, was really good at this. Is just each competition has like a 9-page document, and the document has a rubric, just at least 3 pages, that just tells you, did you do this? Did you do this? And so if you can just check and say, all right, I'm going to come back next 2 weeks and you should have these 3 things done. And so when I come back, I'm going to ask you, did you do that? That's another way you can help. Another thing is, every Wednesday and Thursday, we feed the kids little snacks. So if you said, hey, I can go to Sam's and pick up a box of chips and a bag of little juicy things, or even to say, hey, just tell me what you want on Amazon, and every 2 months I can donate such and such. We would love to have that. The other thing that we want to do is, as we go on trips, like particularly the trips that we travel on, for some kids financially, that's a stretch. We would love to have a way to raise some money to help cut the costs. And so we're working on that. So those are some ways that you can partner with us. I will send out a PowerPoint, and I'll send out a link. And so it gives you some time to think about it and see if you feel like that's something you can do. We would love to have you to do that. That is all that I have now. So if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer that. I also will just stay on the line that if somebody want to kind of speak more one-on-one, I'm more than happy to do that as well. Or if you put it in the chat, I can answer questions there. But are there any questions?
Hi, Mr. Grant. This is Stefan Fan. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I just
We
wanted
can.
to. You can. Hi,
Yes.
everyone. Good evening. I'm a parent. My daughter is Isabel. She's a sophomore. This is her second year. I just want to let you guys know this is a great opportunity for the kids. I was able to travel with them to Berlin in Germany. And it's a great opportunity for the children. They're exposed to things they would never usually be exposed to. And I think it just broadens their horizons and make them think more. That's all I wanted to say, but I think it's a great opportunity for them.
Yeah. Miss Fan was a trooper. We were walking through the Black Forest and she had, what happened to your foot? You
I
had
needed to have foot surgery, but it healed after all that walking.
so big props to her because she was a real trooper. But yeah, thank you so much for that. Anybody else got any comments or questions? Any comments or questions? All right. Well, I will stay on the line. If anybody wants to answer any questions, I'll stay until the last person gets off. But other than that, thank you for coming and have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. And also thank you, Mr. Dunbar, for being a mentor and also everything that you do for our club and program.
My pleasure.
Tony, did you have any closing things? I know I kind of thank you, Ellen, for I asked her to remind me, and I kind of with anything you got to share. You want to close out?
No, you covered everything I could think of. So
okay, all right. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Ellen, for kind of being the gatekeeper. I appreciate it.
Mr. Grant, I put my info in the chat. I'm Landry Lomax's mother. I have a list of fundraisers I can, get out to you all. I'm the Booster Club president for volleyball, but whatever info stuff you need, just let me know. I'm a teacher as well, so
okay. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to in the next day or so send out correspondence to all the parents as well as a copy of this presentation. So I think I can get to this later, but I will definitely follow up with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds
good.
Thank
Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Have a good night, Mr. Grant.
All right. Good night.
All right.
Good night. I guess that's. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close this unless anybody has any questions. And seeing that there.
Mr. Grant, I will be in touch.
All right. Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.